why gorillas don't attack. Until they do. There are no warning signs. That's the part they never tell you. No growl, no charge, no moment where you think, this is it. Just silence. And then, in the span of a heartbeat, 400 pounds of pure muscle is already moving toward you. And there is nothing you can do. Most people look at a gorilla and see something familiar, something almost human. The eyes, the hands, the way they sit in quiet contemplation, like they're carrying thoughts too heavy to speak. We've made documentaries about them. We've given them names. We've watched them cradle their young and mourn their dead. We've decided they are gentle, but that's not the whole truth. The whole truth is far darker. Gorillas are the largest living primates on Earth. A fully grown silverback can weigh up to 430 pounds. His arms can span 8 feet. His bite force exceeds 1,300 pounds per square inch, nearly 6 times that of a lion. He can lift, according to some estimates, over 1,800 kilograms. That's more than most cars. And yet, he almost never uses it. That's the mystery that has fascinated scientists, trackers, and wildlife researchers for decades. An animal built for absolute destruction that chooses, almost every time, not to destroy. Why? What holds him back? What ancient code governs that decision? And perhaps more terrifying, what breaks it? For most of the 20th century, gorillas were a myth wrapped in nightmare. Early European explorers returned from Central Africa with stories that sounded like fever dreams. A creature half man, half beast, unstoppable, savage. The 1933 film King Kong wasn't born from nothing. It was born from fear. From campfire stories brought back by men who had glimpsed something enormous, moving through the forest, and ran before they could see its face. It wasn't until 1959 that the world began to understand what gorillas actually were. George Schaller, a young American naturalist with no gun and no fear, walked into the mountains of what is now the Democratic Republic of Congo and spent a year living near wild mountain gorillas. He didn't dart them, didn't trap them. He just watched. And what he found contradicted everything. These were not monsters. They were social, complex, emotionally layered creatures. They played. They grieved. They protected. Then Dian Fossey came. She arrived in 1966 and spent 18 years in the mist. She gave them names: Digit, Uncle Bert, Peanuts. She became so trusted by one group that a young male named Peanuts reached out and touched her hand. The first documented friendly contact between a wild gorilla and a human. The photograph made the cover of National Geographic. The world fell in love. But Fossey knew something the world didn't want to hear. She wrote it in her journals. She told it to anyone who would listen. Gorillas are not pets. They are not people. They are something else entirely. Something that operates by rules we don't fully understand. And when those rules break down, the results are catastrophic. She was murdered in her cabin in 1985. The killer was never officially identified. Some say it was poachers she'd fought for years. Others whisper stranger theories. But the mountain gorillas she studied, they're still out there, in the mist, living by those same ancient rules. The rules are simple, if you understand them. A gorilla's social world is built on hierarchy, territory, and above all, perceived threat. The silverback is the center of gravity for his group. Every decision flows through him. Where they sleep, when they eat, who they trust. He doesn't rule through cruelty. He rules through presence, through sheer, undeniable authority. And that authority has one absolute clause: do not challenge me. Do not threaten what is mine. Do not make me feel afraid. Most of the time, this works. The silverback performs. He beats his chest, not from rage, but from ritual. A warning, a display, a chance for you to back down, to submit, to survive. Researchers who study gorillas learn this fast. You look away. You make yourself small. You do not run. Running triggers something ancient and automatic. You do not smile. Showing teeth reads as aggression. You submit. And if you submit, he will almost always let you go. Almost always. Because there are moments when the ritual fails. When something inside the silverback shifts from warning to decision. And what comes next is not a display. It was a Tuesday morning in May 1998 at the San Francisco Zoo. A 20-year-old man named Peter Hasegawa climbed the barrier of the gorilla enclosure. He later claimed he wasn't sure why. Maybe he was drawn by the animal. Maybe he thought, like so many people do, that what he'd seen on television was real. That gorillas are gentle. That they understand. The silverback, a 27-year-old male named Kabi, saw him coming over the wall. What happened in the next few seconds changed Hasegawa's life permanently. The attack was swift, brutal, and nearly fatal. Kabi grabbed him, bit him, fractured bones, and tore tissue before keepers were able to intervene. Hasegawa survived, barely. He required multiple surgeries. He was not the last. In 2004, a man named Gustavo Arroyo climbed into the gorilla enclosure at the Los Angeles Zoo. He was mauled. In 2007, a silverback named Bokito escaped his enclosure at a Rotterdam zoo in the Netherlands and attacked a visitor named Hanel MHPE Ruskens, a woman who had visited his enclosure nearly every week for 4 years. She believed they had a bond. She would smile at him, gaze into his eyes, speak softly through the glass. She thought he recognized her. She was right. He recognized her as a provocation. He escaped, crossed a moat, ran 100 meters, and attacked her specifically, ignoring dozens of other people who were closer. He dragged her across the ground, biting and crushing, before staff intervened. She suffered 18 bite wounds, a broken arm, a broken wrist, and a severe concussion. She later said she still loved gorillas, that she didn't blame Bokito. Researchers were less sentimental. They explained what she hadn't known. Direct eye contact, sustained and repeated, is not affection in gorilla language. It is dominance. It is challenge. Every week she visited, every smile she offered through that glass, every lingering gaze, to Bokito, she had been provoking him. For years, he had shown enormous restraint. Until he didn't. Then there is the story that broke the internet, and broke something else too. May 28, 2016, the Cincinnati Zoo. A 3-year-old boy named Isaiah Dickerson fell into the gorilla enclosure. A 17-year-old Western lowland gorilla named Harambe was there. What happened next was filmed by dozens of phones. It went viral within hours, and it divided the world. In the footage, Harambe can be seen moving toward the boy, lifting him, dragging him through shallow water with terrifying force. The boy was screaming. The crowd was screaming. And Harambe? Harambe seemed unsure. That's the word experts used, carefully. Unsure. There are moments in the footage where Harambe appears to position himself protectively, standing upright, scanning the crowd. There are moments where he looks almost concerned, but there are also moments where his grip on the child tightens, where the dragging becomes violent, where the water churns red. Zoo officials made a decision. A tranquilizer dart would take too long. It would agitate him further. The child would be dead before the drug worked. They shot Harambe. He died in seconds. The internet erupted. Millions mourned a gorilla they'd never heard of 2 days before. Millions blamed the mother. Millions blamed the zoo. Everyone had an opinion. Everyone was certain. But Dr. Jane Goodall, one of the most respected voices on primate behavior in human history, said something quieter and harder to hold. She said it appeared Harambe was trying to protect the boy, and also that the zoo had no choice. Both things were true at the same time. A gorilla is not a monster, and a gorilla is not a person. He is something that exists outside our categories, something ancient and vast and operating by a logic that predates language, predates cities, predates everything we've built to separate ourselves from the wild. The truth about gorillas is not what we want it to be. We want them to be gentle giants. We want to look into those dark, deep eyes and find something that mirrors us, something soft and knowing. And sometimes, often, we do. There is real gentleness there, real complexity, real emotion. But there is also something else, something that cannot be named or tamed or fully understood. A line that exists inside every silverback, invisible and immovable. And you will never know you've crossed it until it's too late. Every year, humans get closer to gorillas, in sanctuaries, in zoos, in the forests of Rwanda and Uganda, where ecotourism brings hundreds of thousands of visitors to within meters of wild families. The guides give the rules. Look away. Don't smile. Don't run. Stay calm. Stay small. Most of the time, it works. Most of the time. Because the gorilla is still out there, in the green dark, watching you with those ancient eyes, deciding, always deciding, and you will never truly know what he's deciding until the silence breaks.